Hi there, Titans. My name is Paige, and today we are going to do a full overview of the scheduler widget in Titan Web. So here is my example of my widget. We can see there's a little logo for my cake shop. So we are Titan Cakes Company, and you can see the two different employees here that you're able to schedule a session with. There's Paige and there's Fran. We have a few different meeting types. And then the user is able to schedule a time with the person based on what is available and the date that's available. So maybe if we did like a 60-minute class with Fran on Wednesday, you can see that she has 3 time slots available. So let me show you how you can configure this in your own Titan Web project. I'm just going to go ahead and delete the whole thing so we can do this together. Go to your plus sign and widget, and then this is the icon here that you can drag and drop into your web project. And the first thing that it wants us to map is the profiles of our the users that we'll be scheduling time with. So let me just close it out. Actually, nope, I'm gonna do this widget, drop it in. And so you can choose whether it's going to be a static user, so you can just like add in a new user and you can give them a name and value, heading, etc., and then add more. You absolutely can just do this statically, or you can map it via Salesforce. I find that to be easier. So I am choosing user, and then my only condition, you could do all of your users, but I am just going to do my users who work at this cake company. So I have labeled them both to be in the department that equals cakes. All right, and then this is where we can define the mapping. So for value, that's good to use the user ID. Avatar is photo. That will be the photo on Salesforce. And then we can do full name, heading, I'll do maybe title, description, I'll just do my company name. And then from time to time, if you wanted to include when they are available, then you absolutely can do that. I'm just gonna leave those blank though. All right, so here is the first part of our scheduler widget done. And you can see all the different steps with this widget by clicking here. So this is like the first page where they choose the profile and the meeting type. Here is where they choose the date. Here is where they choose the time. Here is the form section. And then here is the confirmation page. So these little icons here are good so that as you edit and customize this widget, you can see how it is being changed. Okay, so let's continue configuring from Salesforce. We have done our profiles already. That was those users that we just set up. Now let's configure our meeting types. So you can again choose to have a static meeting type if you would like. You can totally do that where you just give it its own description, give it a name, duration, etc. So that's like 60 minutes or whatever. And you can add on all the different meeting types that you like. Or if you have this data in Salesforce, then you can configure it out of Salesforce. So how I did this is I used products. And then the condition was that the product family, yes, product family was equal to cake company events. And that's how I narrow down which products will be a meeting type. All right, so here is where we will map it. So I will do product ID for the value. Logo, if you had a photo for it, you could drop it in here. And then name, product name, description, product description, and then duration. I have a duration field as well. And this is in minutes, by the way. Okay, so now our meeting types are configured. Let's go on to events. Events are the meetings that have already been booked. So if you have in Salesforce like service appointments or another object that keeps track of when you have meetings, this is where you will configure it. And you cannot do this statically because that wouldn't really make much sense. So this is how you can set it up from Salesforce, or you can choose not to configure your events. Okay, so mine was service appointments. Awesome. And then make sure that you make this pretty big because you may have lots of appointments throughout your month or 2 months or 3 months that you are configuring this. So make that pretty big. And then also under the condition, you want to make sure that you definitely include the condition that the date is greater than today, because it's going, if you don't do that, then it's going to pull in all of the events from the past, and people can't really book things from the past anyway, so we just want to limit what is being pulled in. So let me do that first. Date, scheduled start is greater than, and then I created a parameter called today. And then the other thing is that the user ID has to equal the person that's selected. So if I have an appointment, Fran can still be available at that time. We want to make sure that her schedule is not booked off for times that I was booked. So those are my two conditions. And then I'm going to choose next. And now we can map these fields. So scheduled start. Meeting length is duration. 2 times scheduled end. Oh, scheduled end. And then all day is just like if it's an all day appointment. True or false. Apply. Great. So now availability, this is how we say what times our users are available and if they have any holidays or absences coming up. So you can choose for the working hours that there is a user profile that is already configured. So you can use your user's profile. Regular would just be, I think, like 9 to 5, but I would recommend using custom to configure some custom working hours. And for me, I use time slots to configure when my users were available. So 20 records is just fine for this. And the only condition I did for this was that the user operating hour ID was where the user is, and then the user from here is equal to that selected user again. Perfect. And now we can map this. So day of the week, very easy, start time and end time. And whenever you're setting up these time slots in Salesforce, you have to make sure that you make a time slot for every day of the week, even if you are not available that day. And so what I did was just for the days that I was not working, such as Saturday and Sunday, I just said that my availability was from 12 a.m. to 12:01 a.m. And so therefore there's no time slots that are available that day. And but it allows for Titan to be able to pull in that information. Okay, so I went ahead and saved it since we've done a few things so far. I don't want to lose my progress. Now we can configure absences. So you can choose to just do none if you'd like, and another option would be to configure your holidays and absences through the events object that you use. You can also do regular, so any regular holidays that are in Salesforce, or custom holidays. So here is how I configured my custom absences. I created an object called holidays. Up to 20 is fine, but always make sure that you consider how many records you need to pull in. Just like events, I'm going to say that the start date, the absence date is greater than today. Awesome. And then the other things that I need to do is that the user ID is equal to our scheduled or selected user, or, and this one is that it's going to be a company holiday is equal to true. And make sure that you keep true and false lowercase for it to configure correctly. And then I'm just going to add in, whoops, I did not mean to do it there, and to do it here. You can make sure you put in those brackets so it is the absence date is greater than today. I did this one wrong. Absence date, and then this one will be here. This goes, so the scheduler, the user ID is equal to our user, or the company holiday equals true. And then I can close the bracket there. Okay, cool. Now we can click next and do our mapping. So the date, the absence date, the start time, the end time, and all day. Apply, save. Now let's go on to our form. So this is where we can configure what the users will be submitting. So if you wanted to get like their first name, you can get like their name, their email address, anything you need that you possibly have not gathered in your site yet, you can configure a form to gather that information. So we can choose whether we are creating or updating a record. We can choose what we are going to be updating. So for me, it's going to be a service appointment, creating a service appointment, and then I can add columns for this. So let's see. Contact ID. And the reference will be the name. All right, I'll just do this, delete, delete, and then I'll apply this. So now they will enter their name here, but of course we can add in other things as well. Maybe like their email address. Yeah, let's do that. Let's add in contact ID and select reference, and it will be their email. Apply, apply. Oh, whoops, I did not. We need to make sure that that's selected, and then we just type in email. Apply, perfect. So now they'll enter their name and their email, and then we can also choose if there's a confirmation or not. So if you want a confirmation message, you can do this. Just saying like, are you sure? Because maybe you want to make sure that they are, they truly want to book this time. Custom message. Are you sure you want to book? Apply, apply, okay. And you can also choose to hide the labels. So if you want the name and email to look like that, that's an option. You can also choose your date format, depending on which is best for your customers. And that is how you configure the form. You also have an on-submit action. So this is where you would actually create that service appointment. So on submit action, we're creating the service appointment. Let me show you that. Number 6. So the mapping is that the contact ID equals contact ID, and then we can also type in like the start date. So here are all the fields that are on the record. Scheduler, date, time, yeah, and then date, time, and date, time. Perfect. Anything else that you need to be scheduled, we can absolutely do that. Perfect. Owner ID, this will be the user. Cool. So I'll click apply and close, and this is already configured to run when they submit the form. And now we can configure a custom confirmed message if you'd like. So you can choose to have it like this. Thank you for booking. Make this like a special font and size. Apply. And now we can go on to like different options through our interactivity. So you can choose to hide your form on load, just like any other element. If you have a default location that your clients are in, then you can select that, but you don't have to. You can also auto detect the location that they are in. Now you can choose what kind of time format this is. So this is referring to this page. So if it's 24 hours, then it looks like this. If it's a 12-hour format, then it looks like this. I prefer this format. Of course, you can choose for yourself. You can choose whether there's end time and time slots. That may be really good to remind the users how long their appointment is. Limiting months is important. So how far in advance can your users book a session? So do you really want them to be able to book like 12 months in advance, or like maybe you only want it to be 3 months in advance? The automatic option was 1 month. So if you want them to be able to book like 2 or 3 months, then you can change it here. Disable today is important. So if you ever, do you prefer for your clients to book a day in advance, or are you okay with somebody booking an appointment last minute with you? So if you don't want them to book an appointment with you today, then make sure you select this one here. Conditions works the same as any other element. I don't know what happened to my thing, but we might find it. Captions, this is how you change the different words within your element. So if you want to change meeting type to anything else, maybe session type, maybe that would work. Date, you can change all of these things. Really customize the form for yourself. And then Salesforce, this is just how we keep track of all the different integrations that are happening during this element. Animation works the same as any other element. You can of course change the way that it interacts with your website. And then metadata, this is good to tag it. So maybe you can call it schedule meeting page 3 or whatever page it's on. Okay, so then we can click save. And let's just preview this. All right, so there is our widget. and I can choose which user I want to configure with, and then I can choose the meeting type and the date, and then schedule a meeting with them based on their availability. I can confirm, enter my name, awesome. There's a confirmation message, and now that custom message. So that is the full rundown of how you can use the scheduler widget to schedule meetings with your clients. And of course, you can do a number of different things. So if you don't want it to be within Salesforce, if you don't use Salesforce, then you can, schedule things and then have it emailed to you, have this information emailed to you, and do it that way. So thank you for watching, and I hope that this element helps.